I don't know how to do that.
You said, I don't know who's in control.
Yeah, I still like the old desktop interface. I got a keyboard I can.
Yeah, with big good buttons that you can push. Yeah, no. No, I respect that.
So Aubrey is Brandy's kid.
And mine. Not biologically, but she's mine.
Yeah, it surprised me when you said you had 3 kids.
Yeah. Yeah, because you're really good about keeping things in order and knowing what's going on and not leaving anyone out. So you said, wait a minute.
Yeah, you've got an interesting mix of colors and
Yeah.
nationalities and
Cultures, yeah. I love it. And we were all together the other day, decorating cookies. Brandy, Daisy, all the kids. Lena right there. Lily is great. It's great that everyone can get along.
Yeah.
It took some work to get there, but we're there now.
Yeah, and I really like Claudia.
Yeah, if she just didn't go way left, she could have been part of it also, but she betrayed us all too badly to where she's not accepted anymore. If she would have left me, that's fine, but the way she did it, she can't be a part of our family anymore. As far as Brandy and Daisy and Lena are concerned, and the kids even.
Claudia and I get along real well.
She's very level-headed, very mature, very level-headed.
And we've got this thing going on about pie.
Yeah, she tells me that. That's great. Some fruit pie.
We discussed the merits of the various kinds of pie.
Is it always only fruit pie? Only fruit?
Yeah, so Claudia comes up and sees me once a month or something, and
good.
I think we like each other.
Yeah, no, she loves you and respects you and she loves the relationship with you. She loves it. She's always appreciated older generations and the wisdom that comes with it. She loves having conversations with older people.
Do you know her dad very well?
Yeah.
Is he as strange as I think he is? Or?
Yeah.
I thought I saw a Facebook thing where he said he was moving to Oroville. And I checked with Claudia and she said that may happen in June. He's got a brother apparently in Oroville.
Yeah.
He's going to live with or something.
I don't know. He complains incessantly. He feels sorry for himself all the time. He's a hypochondriac. Very negative, very pessimistic, very pathetic. Yeah.
How old is he?
Late 50s. Younger than my dad and looks 20 years older than my dad.
How's your dad getting along?
Great.
Got a girlfriend? Or?
Yeah, he's very happy with his new girlfriend. I really like her. She's really affectionate and loving towards me and tries very hard with me. I really like her.
What's her name?
Randy.
Randy?
Yeah.
Randy?
I. She doesn't really have anything, no savings, and doesn't really do much. But good, will be a good little housewife for my dad. She's quiet, nice. She works. She's made his house very nice. Put a great woman's touch on it, where it was like a bachelor's house before. He didn't do anything for it, so she's made it a home. And
Is
she's
she living with him?
yeah, and she's very passive, but fun and nice. And my dad's very nice. So they get along very good. And my dad's happy now. And he's more positive than he's ever been. Enjoys life. He's happy. And we're closer than ever. The Harleys have brought us together more. And I'm excited that, whenever we talk about his bike, he's saying, this will be yours. You can, and I don't really ride much anymore, and this will be yours. So, so I'm excited about that. That'll be my next bike. I love mine right now, so I'm in no hurry to get on another bike. But I know down the road that will be my next bike. And he's never let anyone ride his motorcycle except for me. I rode it back from Lompoc probably 3 weeks ago. We went on a good ride and went to Los Alamos, stopped at a bar there. He got a soda, or he got a non-alcoholic beer. I got a beer. And then we left from there. It was cool because then 15 motorcycles came there when we got there and all went in. We were surrounded by motorcycle guys when we got there. It was empty. We got there and 15, all Harleys showed up. It was awesome with like a chaser vehicle they had. So they were doing a good organized run. And so we talked to them a little bit and then came out somewhere, took a couple back roads, and to Lompoc. And then he offered to switch bikes. So I got to ride his bike back from Lompoc. And he's never let anyone ride that bike. And he bought it new in 2002. So that was cool.
Well, when did he and your mom split?
Probably when I was in boys camp, so I graduated when I was 16. When I was 40. 23 years ago, 1997.
Huh? Yeah, I think they borrowed some money from my mother to buy a motorcycle.
Oh. Yeah, a Honda 350. Not his Harley. Yeah, it was before that. A Honda 350. I remember that bike. I crashed on it a couple times. But I took it and I crashed over here in the dirt on a dirt track. So nobody even knew that I crashed. He kind of did because he was like, hey, why is the mirror a little bent? Oh, and I bumped it or something. But I crashed pretty good around the corner and then picked it up, dusted myself off, and came back and acted like I knew what I was doing.
Yeah, I always wanted a motorcycle, but by the time you begin to collect family, it just isn't worth it.
Yeah. This last wreck was good for me. I respect speed limits now more. And I'm not as eager to go fast as I was before the crash. I'm not eager to push limits. I'm more conscious of how dangerous and how a small mistake, very small mistake, even out of your control, can be deadly.
Yeah.
I was getting reckless, I see now. So I learned a great lesson from it. Yeah. I went to my crash site yesterday. Did you see the video that I took of my crash site? I posted it on Facebook.
The video of what?
of my crash site.
No.
So we'll look at that in a little while. So I went to it yesterday and parked my bike just where the crash bike ended up. And I walked and looked at everything and relived it. And then I got on my bike and went back a quarter mile and then drove by it twice actually. And I got videos of me walking it, talking about it, and then I got video of me driving it, and I posted it yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I told you that I had a Whizzer motorbike on
Yeah.
a Schwinn frame that I really loved. I was, I don't know, 14 or 15. Wasn't old enough to have a driver's license, but the cops in town, they ignored it as long as we behaved. Yeah, I really enjoyed that bike.
Yeah. It's fun. It turns the chore of driving into fun. Now, I don't like driving. It's boring. I don't want to go there. I look for reasons to not drive. Not since I got this. Now I look for reasons to ride, and I love it. And I even do an extra lap around the block sometimes instead of pulling in my driveway. I just sit out front, put some country music on, and just polish my bike up or tighten bolts or look for things to do on it. I'm very passionate about it. I love it. I'm very glad I discovered this. I've always been that way on dirt bikes, and I've had 3 dirt bikes, and I loved them. But I didn't know that it would transfer over to street bikes as much as it did, and even more so. I love it. I love it. And with this leather jacket, it's just made it so much more comfortable. I'm going 90 miles an hour at nighttime in winter, and I can't even feel the wind. I'm warm and toasty. It's amazing. It's awesome. I'm happy.
Yeah, I was like 14 and had a paper route, and on my bicycle, and I'd make 7 trips, 5 to deliver the papers and 1 to collect. And of course, you always had trouble getting the 25 cents a week out of some of those. So I saved my money. I really put it away, and I got like $200. Told my mom and dad that I wanted to buy a motorbike.
That was a lot of money. Wow, you saved a couple hundred?
I saved, yeah. And I started that paper route. I had about 30 customers, and see somebody move in, and then I'd try to sell them up.
And this was in the 50s?
Yeah, some late 40s, early 50s, and I sort of became a salesman. Don't you want to subscribe to this paper, and I'll deliver it every day at 4 o'clock, and I built the route from about 30 to about 60, and then every Saturday morning I'd have to make the route and collect up these long driveways,
And you did it on your bike?
Yeah, on a bicycle.
Oh, yeah.
And so I saved my money regularly, and I was real tight-fisted, about spending money, and I put it in the drawer.
And you knew what you were saving it for?
And I was saving it for this motorbike.
Yeah.
So I think I paid $200 or $250 for that bike, and my mother was really opposed to it.
How many owners previously?
It was brand new.
Oh, wow.
And the only problem I had with it, I couldn't keep a clutch cable in it. Clutch cable kept breaking. I went back to the dealer and he'd put a new cable in, I'd take it home, and clutch cable would break. And he could not solve the problem, so eventually we put a automatic clutch on it. And that took care of the problem, but I never did figure out why the clutch cables kept breaking.
Yeah.
But you know, I really enjoyed that bike.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, I had some freedom. I could jump on the bike and go where I wanted to go and when I wanted to go.
And you'd only have to put 10 cents in the gas tank, probably. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the gas tank held maybe a gallon, and that's good for about 120 miles. Really enjoyed that bike. But you know, eventually you get married and have a kid, and you know, the motorcycle just too dangerous.
Yeah. Well, and you can't. It's kind of hard to carry the family around on it too.
But I rode my cousin's bike, and so I had some experience on riding real motorcycle.
What did he have? He had a similar to the Whizzer he had?
Well, my cousin had a real motorcycle, maybe a 250 or something.
Dirt bike?
Yeah. And,
your older cousin?
So she and her husband actually had two bikes, and I jumped on the little one, driving out on the gravel roads, and you know, there's always sketchy, and never quite knew which way the bike was going to go.
Yeah.
And I tried jumping on the bigger one. I think it was a 350, and all of a sudden I found that it's much easier to ride the bigger bike. You know, much more stable.
You're more stable.
And but you know, no helmet, no face guard, and bugs. But I enjoyed that. But I never was able to satisfy my desire to have a real motorcycle. Judy was not in favor of it.
Yeah.
So that never happened. And my friends would have Cushman motor scooters, and Jack and Heinz two-cycle bikes.
Yeah.
And I had my Whizzer.
That's great.
I guess I probably told you about don't ride through a cornfield.
Yeah, it'll beat you up.
Yeah. Those leaves,
cut you up.
Those leaves just cut. And don't try to ride it on ice.
Yeah. You rode on ice? You rode over ice?
You know, the neighbor's pond, and go out there and try riding your Whizzer on an ice-covered pond.
Yeah, I wouldn't even attempt that.
There's no way to control it.
No.
I bought a Bantam Roadster. You ever hear of them? It was originally a British design, Austin, and somebody in this country bought the rights to it and rebranded it as a Bantam. Bantum, just a little tiny guy. I could sit in the driver's seat and touch the road. And it had a canvas top that you could take off. And
Oh, cool.
store, and the windshield folded down, and a little tiny 4-cylinder engine. But I wanted a sports car. I could not afford a sports car. But I found this.
You got
thing,
that with the canvas top.
and bought it. And after about I had it maybe a month, and all of a sudden it would start on 3 cylinders, and the 4th cylinder would kick in eventually, and they could drive away. And a few more days, it would start on 2 cylinders. I'd have to wait for the other 2 cylinders to kick in. And then it started starting on 1 cylinder. And so I called the dealer and I said, you've got a 50-50 warranty on this. I'd like to, figure out what's going on. And he said, well, 50-50 means that you pay for the parts and we pay for the labor, or one way or the other. And I said, oh, it's not 50-50. But so I finally decided to tackle it myself. And I found out that I could unbolt the engine from the transmission and lift the engine out by myself. It was that small. And took the engine apart, and it was somebody had dumped the lacquer or something in, and that coated the valves and rings, and so the valves would stick open until you got the thing started. And so I cleaned it all up, and finally found a guy that could manufacture or redo some piston rings, and cost me a small fortune to have the machine work done to revise the piston rings. Got it all put back together, and it ran fine.
Oh, wow. Saved yourself a lot of money.
Yeah. I learned an awful lot about mechanics. And
that was a 4-cylinder?
Yeah.
And you got all 4 cylinders firing after that?
Cylinders were about this big around, little, very small stuff. And I always had an overheating problem. It was just thermal. And the engine would get warm, and so the fluid would flow into the radiator and recycle, and never quite did the job. So I found a little tiny water pump that I could put in there and drive it with it was actually a leather strip boot tie, and so that solved the problem.
To hold the water pump in place? There was no bolt?
That drove the pulley.
Oh.
And also, when I go uphill, the gas tank would be below the engine. And,
so it couldn't, it wasn't feeding gas to the engine?
Not drive it forward up a steep hill. So I had to find the electric fuel pump to add on to it. It was a fun little car.
Yeah. What year was that? What year was that car?
It was before we got married, so it was 56, 57, somewhere in there. And I had summer job working on the freight docks, and the guys would see me drive in, and they'd threaten to pick it up and put it on the truck.
What make was that car?
Bantam.
Bantam?
Yeah, you still occasionally you'll see a Bantam trailer.
Oh.
They went out of business as a motor car company, but they made two-wheel trailers
Oh.
for several years. And occasionally I'll see a Bantam trailer
Oh.
around.
That'll remind you of that. Yeah.
It was a cute little car. In fact, I think when we went to downtown Cleveland to buy her engagement ring, we drove that car down. So,
Cool.
so I know that I still had that Bantam in about 1950. We got married in 58, so I think we bought that ring probably in 57, and so I know that we still had the car at that time.
And what happened to that car?
Eventually, I think I traded it even for about a 1932 Ford.
Oh.
I traded this little tiny car off on a big Ford. I think I traded even. And
To who? Someone that you knew?
I had that old Ford for quite a while.
Did you make the trade to someone that you knew?
I don't even remember.
Yeah.
I think I probably put an ad in the paper, and somebody said, "I don't have any money, but I'll trade you even."
Yeah. Cool.
I had I think it was a 37 Ford V8, and it had a special cam in it that they called it 3/4 race engine, dual carbs, and that thing would just about tear your head off when you let the clutch out.
Oh, man.
And it would run
2 carburetors? Yeah, shooting a lot of gas in the engine.
Gasoline just went through it.
Yeah.
I couldn't afford to run the darn
No.
thing, even at 25 cents a gallon. It woke me up. But that car would just really jump up.
A lot of torque.
About 15 miles an hour. And I went through a sequence of 49 and 50 Fords, buy them at 80,000 miles, and they would run about 20,000 miles before they quit. So I thought, well, through 3 or 4 of those, you could buy them for $50 and run them until they quit and sell them for $20.
That was great.
But you take a girl out on a date, and she could look down through the
see the ground
floorboards at the street. I said, "Be careful where you put your feet." That's unusual. You'll watch the street go by.
Oh, wow. No power steering?
No, none of that stuff.
None of that. My first truck didn't have power steering.
But they were all easy to repair. You know,
Everything's big and right there. Yeah.
Easy to get at.
You could climb in the hood and work on it. A Ford? Yeah. And parts readily available.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's always a lot of them available in the junkyard. You could go in and strip off the part that you needed.
Yeah.
Give the guy a couple bucks and nowadays you don't have the foggiest notion how these things work.
No.
I had
all computers now.
Yeah, went down to Morro Bay, made a left-hand turn, and the display said, "Have the traction control serviced. Engine power is reduced." And so I was intending to, drive up the coast a little bit, but I got that message, so I just turned around and came home, and did make it home, but the engine was running about half speed, and I had no idea what was going on, and parked it out in front of the garage. The left front tire was a little low, and I thought, well, if that tire is low,
That could have affected your
it's spinning
the traction
spinning a little
control.
bit faster. So maybe the computer thinks that there's something wrong with the traction control. So I pumped that tire up, and so it just sat there for 20 minutes or so, and started it up, and the message went away, and it's never come back. I had no idea. So I get on the internet and try to look it up, see what's going on here, and everything is connected to everything. You have no idea whether it's a bad wire someplace or
Or sensor or any part. Yeah.
And but I noticed that no matter how much air I had in the left front tire, it always read 24 psi. And the hand gauge, would say I've got 32 pounds in it, but the dashboard would say I've got 28. So back to the computer and learn how to reset the sensors. And so we turn the ignition on and let some air out of the tire, and it'll beep. And then you go to the next tire and let some air out, and the horn would beep. And check the other two. And by the time you do the fourth one, the horn will beep twice. So now I've reset all the sensors, but now the air, of course, is low because you had to let air out to activate the system. So go take the little compressor and put air back in it, and the problem has gone away. I have no idea what's really going on.
I don't know.
And but it's hooked into the ignition system somehow, because it says engine power is being reduced. So the computer somehow is messing with the way the engine runs. I don't have any idea how to, but the problem has gone away, and the tire pressure on the dashboard actually agrees with the
Okay. With the
pressure-
gauge.
pressure gauge.
How long ago did you get the first warning?
It's been about 3 weeks now.
Yeah.
And I've never gotten that warning back.
Yeah.
Apparently, on this particular model of the Chevy Impala, there's a problem with the